All right, let's get into another market update. This is going to be my second update, but let's do a midweek update on what's going on here. All right, so I'm not going to do a top-down analysis. I'm just going to come down and do a quick update of what happened here. So we were obviously looking to fill this imbalance. This is where we had our imbalance marked. Markets opened on Asia, did a liquidity grab, and then it pushed off. Obviously, it didn't react here. It didn't react in any way over here significantly, but price continued to go up, broke this significant level of 185,800. Again, did a liquidity grab and pushed up. Yesterday's CPI market has pushed up into the next area of interest, right? Now, if you look at the first video, obviously I had my zones marked here. I've removed those zones now because they're insignificant after candle is closed above them. But now, how I've come up with these zones, obviously I've gone to the higher time frames, like I've explained earlier, daily, weekly, and I've looked at interest zones, you know, up here. I've looked at interest zones up here, wick areas up here, and obviously I've pulled it, you know, all the way to where I have an interest, and that is where we are. That is where we are at the moment. We've had a reaction at the 188.2 levels. I've gotten into sells. I was looking at a reversal, plus we had GBP data this morning. So I've caught a sell. I caught myself pre-London. I don't usually trade London session, but I come in, looked at the charts. I was looking at an opportunity for shorts if it reacted at these higher time frames, at these higher time prices. So I was able to catch a reaction. Obviously, the data was bad, so I've taken a sell. But again, at this point, I have my stops at BE, and I'm going to be watching price action. And depending on how if it continues to drop, okay, I'll probably hold. But if we're looking at price coming back up, and maybe like if it breaches above these levels, like maybe like 178.8 is probably too low. I'd probably wait for it to go above 188 realistically. I'd probably wait for it to come around this area to probably then manage risk and get out of my position and profit. But for now, I'm holding, so let's see what happens with GBPJPY. I'm obviously expecting it to retest into these lower zones. I'm probably expecting it to even go lower here. It could because GJ has this GJ has this thing of going and testing new intraday highs, and then once it goes up to those highs, it'll come back to those lower areas. It does it on the lower time frame, so now it's obviously done it on a much higher time frame, which is really significant. So you'll have to probably wait for it to break down, but I believe it will come and test the area it's broken out of. But do remember that GBP JPY is obviously bullish on the higher time frames. So manage your risk if you guys are in this sell. And yeah, enjoy the profits, guys. Now let's do gold. So gold, I'm gonna come to the daily. Uh, so I spoke about this area of interest for buys, right? Remember we spoke about these areas here. We spoke about how this area and this area is going to be important. So we obviously had a dip down into these areas, and let me go to the drop down to the 1 hour because so we had this CPI move yesterday, and we had this reaction here. Now I'm going to explain to you guys how I got buys here. I was looking at the 15 minute, right? I was looking at the 15 minute and waiting for reaction. 15 minute or was it the 5 I took it off? Well, I think it was the 5 because price had to come back. Yes, I took it off the 5. So how I landed up taking this position was I was obviously watching this area, like which are your lows, right, at that point. And if price were to close below this, and you had your candle also outside below this area, I would obviously look for sells. But price landed up this specific candle landed up dipping down and coming back in and closing. Right after it closed in here, I took my buy position off of this. I took my buy position off of that, and I closed pre CPI. I'm not going to gamble away whatever I've made. So I took it pre-CPI. I closed this position pre-CPI, though obviously I wish I would have held like all of us do on a hold, but I did not. On my broker, I did not have the spike down. A lot of people are talking about the spike down that happened yesterday. I did not have the spike down on my broker, and it's also not on this chart. I don't use Black Bull, by the way. I use a different broker, but my broker did not have the whip that everybody's talking about on streams and on Twitter and everybody else. So that was good. Obviously, CPI did its moves. I then waited for a correction to happen. I was expecting it probably to be a little lower, but then after seeing the way price printed and looking at multiple confluences, I got into a long. I've gotten into a long, and now I am holding. I expect to see this go higher because obviously CPI was it came out less, right? So that's what caused this, and that's what also caused GBPJPY to do what it did. But uh, after this correction, I'm obviously expecting price to push even higher now. I'm probably looking for it to come into these levels that we've marked on the daily. I'd rather stay away from the lower time frame than avoid noise. So I'm looking for it to come obviously into these levels, 81, 82, maybe even up to the top of this zone here, 85. But I'm looking for it to come back into this area. Now, obviously, we have news today. I think we have PPI today in the New York session. I am expecting those numbers also to come uh, bad. I'm not expecting good results. So that would again fundamentally push gold higher into these areas where it should come. But I am not expecting gold to go beyond 2000 at the moment. I am expecting it to come into these areas and then it will probably range in here because we are entering a new range. This is another range on the lower time frame. If you look at price action in here, it is a range on the lower time frame. But I'm looking for price to get in there, and then we'll see what happens once price is in here. I might just close off this position, but we'll see. We'll see how price reacts in here. I might just close it off and be done. But this is what I've got. I've got this. I closed it. This is what I'm running. At the moment, I'm also holding GJ. So let's see what happens. And yeah, that's about it. GJ, we'll see what happens. Like I said, if it comes back into 188, I would probably looking at closing GJ because then again we're looking for it to push higher. And gold, like I said, I'm already in longs here. We could expect a retest into this. I mean, maybe pre-NY or maybe around the news time. If we do get a wick down, you can probably expect it to test into this range, like 68 maximum. I don't think we're going to go lower than that. You can probably expect it to come 69, 68. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, maybe 68. 68 here, yeah. Maybe this structure here, yeah. I mean, it's already broken out. It did a test, so maybe. But if not, it's probably going to push up. But I will say this: if we do have good numbers on PPI, if we do have good numbers on PPI, then I look to adapt and I'll close out my buys. I look to adapt because then we're going to sell it down. So I look to adapt at a key level. I look to adapt at a important price point, maybe below 1960s. I'll look to sell. That's what I probably do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope all of you guys have had a profitable week so far and are catching pips, but we'll see what happens. All right, guys, that's it. Take care, trade safe, and as always, don't give back whatever the market gives you. Trade safe.